Hi, I am an asshole. Well, I mean, if I've ever interacted with you, then I probably have given you this impression at least once, but I'm really not actually an asshole. Well, for the most part. And that is exactly why I'm making this video, so that I can kind of explain why some of the things that may give people the impression of me being an asshole are actually just things about me that are different. Now let me be clear, this is not an attempt to excuse behavior that is rude or mean or inconsiderate. This is merely a way for me to explain this certain part of me so that those people who interact with me, either in person or online, won't get the wrong impression of me. There are essentially two ways that a person could get the impression that I'm an asshole. Either by what I say, or by what I don't say. First, I want to talk about what I do say. As someone on the autism spectrum, I have a little bit less social awareness than most people. I'm not completely oblivious. However, there are some things that just go over my head or I just am just not aware of. And that means that sometimes I may say things that seem to be insensitive or inappropriate for the context of the conversation, and I'm not asking anyone to excuse rude behavior on my part, but what I really mean is that I need grace sometimes in a conversation or a situation. So if I say something that does end up being insensitive or inconsiderate, then you can give me the benefit of the doubt and not assume that I'm trying to be rude. Because usually I'm not. When I do something that's out of place or I say something that's out of place, most of the time it's because I just don't know any better. Now I know that there is a fine line between being unaware and just being an inconsiderate asshole. And this is not something that is very exclusive to me. Having issues with tact and understanding social appropriateness for conversation is something that is very common amongst people on the autism spectrum. Oftentimes, one of the biggest indicators that someone might be on the spectrum is their social awareness or lack thereof. And for me, that was especially the case because one of the biggest things that led to my diagnosis of Asperger's was my social awareness and my being able to pick up on social cues and understand certain things. So basically all of this is to say, if you hear me say something that's a little bit off or you feel like I'm being rude, please just give me the benefit of the doubt and ask me about it and try to figure out what I really mean, because like I said, most of the time I just don't know and I don't want to be mean. It just kind of happens sometimes. So the other way that this kind of plays out is with the things that I don't say. If anyone has ever interacted with me for a decent amount of time, they know that I am a fairly quiet person. There are many reasons for this, but I think I'm just going to talk about a couple of the main big ones. The first reason, and the reason that I think a lot of people can probably relate to, is I am just generally anxious in social situations. I can overanalyze things, I can try to listen to too many things at once and just stress myself out and get really anxious and just not really know what to do. And a lot of the time that usually leads to me kind of isolating myself, either physically by like leaving the room or by focusing on my phone, playing a game, or petting an animal. And in those situations, what I really need people to understand is that I am not trying to be rude. I am not trying to be antisocial. I just don't know how to interact with humans right now. And that could be because I'm anxious, it could be because I'm overwhelmed, it could be because I just don't feel like I have anything to say, it could be because I don't really feel included. And none of those things are anybody's fault, it just happens. It's happened all my life and I deal with it, but I need people to be able to just let me have my space if I need my space and understand that I am really honestly not trying to be rude. I just need to have me time. This also applies to online conversations because sometimes when I get a message and I just don't quite know what I should say or how to respond, then I just won't say anything. And I totally understand that that seems like I'm just totally ignoring you, but I'm really honestly not just ignoring you. It's because I don't know exactly how to respond, and if I don't know how to respond, I'm not just gonna spit out an automatic message. Just like in real life, I'm not going to talk if I don't have something specific that I want to say. And that kind of brings me to my second reason of why I'm so quiet most of the time. And that is, a lot of the time I just don't have anything to say. And if I don't have anything specific to say, then I'm just not going to say anything. There's a lot of stuff happening in my brain all the time. And sometimes I don't have a way to communicate those things that are in my head. So even if I'm not saying things, even if I'm not communicating everything that's going on or everything that I'm feeling, there are things happening up there. And the other part of that is, I just don't like saying things that I don't genuinely mean. My desire is to be as genuine and honest as I can be. And sometimes that means not saying something because I am not certain, and that doesn't mean that I don't care or that I am ignoring you. It's because I don't like saying something if I don't have something meaningful to say. And that doesn't just apply to conversation, it really applies to all of the ways that I express myself in person or on the internet. If I'm not fairly sure about what I want to say or what I want to share, then I just won't say anything. And sometimes that means that I go months without making YouTube videos, or I go weeks without posting anything on Facebook. And sometimes that's because I'm busy, or sometimes it's because I'm just distracted and I forget. But a lot of the time it's because I genuinely don't have something that I feel certain about that I want to share. And so if there are situations where me not saying something comes across as me being an asshole, I can almost guarantee that it's not because I'm trying to be rude, it's just because I don't feel like I have something to say. So to sum things up, sometimes I may say things that make me come across as an asshole, but it's really me just not knowing any better. And sometimes I won't say something, or I will be quiet, and it's not because I'm trying to be rude. It's just that I don't have anything specific that I want to share. And if there's ever a situation where either of those things happen, please just give me the benefit of the doubt, because most of the time I don't intend to be rude. It just happens to be one of the unfortunate side effects of having an autism spectrum disorder. And if you're like me and you've had experiences where you've come across like an asshole but you never intended to, please know that you really are not bad. You're not actually an asshole. And it's okay for these things to happen, because at the end of the day, what really matters is who you are deep down, and deep down you're not a bad person. And the people around you who love you and care about you will see that and will understand. With enough time, things will get better, and you will learn to be a little bit more socially aware. And you will get a little bit more courage to be able to speak up in situations where you normally would be quiet. And if you're someone who has a person in your life that's like this, quiet, or sometimes just doesn't say the right things at the right time, please just give them the benefit of the doubt. I can almost guarantee you that most of the time they're not trying to be rude or mean, and what they really need is just a little bit of grace and some understanding, and maybe a little bit of an explanation in a kind way. Because we're not really assholes, we just sometimes come across like that. That's all I had to share with you today. If you'd like to see some more videos from my Autism and Me series, I will put a link to a playlist in the description below this video. I have also made a shorter version of this video that, if you'd like, you can send to other people as a way of trying to help them understand a little bit more about you. And there will be a link to that in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. And until next time, I hope that you take care of yourself, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye! And that is exactly